What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Back Your Play with Q. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. A lot of sports to dive into, but as always, we are brought to you by our very good friends over at Play It Again Sports. And I'm telling you right now is the time to go in there. They've got the used items, baseball, hockey, golf. They got them. Even the prop is getting excited hearing about all this. They'll pay you right on the spot. Look at him. He's just juiced. He's ready to go. The high tier golf, the drivers, the putters, the sets, adult hockey skates, adult hockey protective gear as well. Listen, 1450 Clemensbridge Road. Check him out online. It's all disheveled. He's got his notes. He's ready. He's got the dog. He's got the notes. And you got to remind everyone, this is what we do here. If you tell them you heard about Play It Again Sports right here on BYP with Q, get an extra 10% added to buy or take 10% off your next entire order. The dogs are barking. The dogs are getting out. It's game 7. He's got the notes. He's got the water. He's got the hot toddy. He's ready to go on this Tuesday. What is going on, Professor?
Oh, completely disheveled here, but that's okay. We're ready to go. This entire town is on edge, including you can't go. I guess the Delaware Valley stretches from where? Pick your town, whatever. There's not one person that's not nervous about tonight. I'll tell you who's not nervous is me and you.
Yes.
Both of us. We're not nervous because bettors don't have favorite teams. Although, like I've said on Twitter, it's good for everybody in this area. If you win, people don't cut you off. They're not as mean. But I'm going to take my chances with Suarez and Wheeler and no Kimbrel.
Yeah, can't do it.
So that's kind of, I think, I don't know how many innings. For whatever reason, no one's really said how much we'll see of Wheeler, but we're definitely going to see Wheeler tonight, Rich.
So this is all hands on deck, right? Because it's game 7. The World Series starts on Friday. And again, you can get away with Wheeler pitching. I mean, 4 or 5 innings. It is on hands on deck. I'm a little surprised. Were you shocked that they didn't go to Walker last night?
No. Lavello is one of those guys, he's going to go. He's on the pitch counts. He has everything written to the thing, to the letter, to the number. And they were just going to go down with who they had. They're playing with house money. Let's think about it. Nobody thought they were going to be here. And no matter what happens, they got a hit, and the Phillies can't go crazy. If the Phillies went crazy, you're going to look like the Astros last night, and people are dissecting Dusty Baker's moves. When you're down 9 runs,
what do you do?
Does it really matter?
No.
Yeah, so I think they were in that mode. So listen, if we hit, we score 6. If we lose 7-6, all right, that's something I can live with. I don't think they wanted to change things up too much. I think with the Phillies strategy is going to be a little bit different. They haven't been able to hit Suarez at all. Suarez likes to be in this spot, apparently, from what ex-major league players say, like Patel. He wants the limelight. So you say, go get me 4 or 5 innings, and then what's wrong with bringing Wheeler in for 4 innings? The last thing you want is, I think if there's 2 scenarios. It's either Philly, this game looks kind of like game 1, where it's like Phillies are 4-0 or 5-1 early.
Yeah, an onslaught and a blowout, 10-3.
Right, and then Suarez, and then you just play normal. When you have Suarez pitch 5, you bring in Hoffman, still no Kimbrel, but you bring in, you mix in it a little bit, and then you get the 8th inning, and it's 5-1, whatever. But if it's 1-1 or 2-1 or down 2-1, I think you do Suarez, 4 innings, and then I think you bring Wheeler in and say, listen, give me 5. Nobody else is really saying that. I don't see how you don't do it, because they haven't been able to hit Wheeler. Who cares if Wheeler pitches Friday? He'll pitch Saturday.
Well, that's the thing.
And let Meatball pitch. Let Meatball pitch Friday.
There's no tomorrow. What's crazy, right? So Philadelphia is clearly out-hit the Diamondbacks. They didn't have scored them by 11 runs despite the series being tied. But if you look at Real Muto, Castellanos, Marsh, that's when everyone was talking about, hey, is Thompson going to make any adjustments with the lineup? He's not. But I think tonight will be a white knuckler. I think if Arizona gets out of the first 2 innings unscathed, then what's going to happen? Maybe they scratch out that first run in the 4th. Then the bats, all of a sudden, we're starting to grip them a little more. If you're the Phillies, and you tighten up a little bit, man. And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the first ever Game 7 the Phillies will play in?
Yeah. I was thinking about that previously because the Phillies have had they've had a couple runs in playoffs, but it was all before things were 7 games. If you remember the
Sure.
in the 70s, the NLCS was 5 games.
Right.
So it was a little bit different. So it's a little bit of a quirk with the numbers. They've only been to what? They've been the 80 World Series,
80, 83, 93.
93 World Series. And then, of course, the NLCS back then, they beat the Braves in 6. They lose in 6, 2008, blah, blah, blah. So they haven't really been in a lot. I think if you go all the way back to the Whiz Kids, I think they've been in about 12 or 13. So it's kind of interesting that they've never played 7. I don't think it's a factor at all. I think you're going to address it. I think Harper and these guys are going to address it. I think they're going to be kind of loose, I tell you. They've had the lead in a lot of these games. I mean, they should have swept the Braves. I mean, you don't have to give these guys motivational speeches. Just say, listen, do what we do. We're a better team. And the better team doesn't always win. More often than not, they do. 1 game off, anything can happen. But if you're going to give me the Phillies, if you give me the Phillies in Arizona here, even up, how much would you play on the Phillies? I mean, a good amount.
At
They're
home
probably
in that ballpark.
60-65% favorite.
Yeah.
I like them in the game. If they're going to beat Suarez and Wheeler, they beat my best. Hats off to them. What you don't want to happen is some goofy thing, where nobody hits. And I think people still have it in their head more. I have it in my head more than I think everybody else because I often bring it up. The short series in 2011 where I think the Phillies were by far the best team in the league. And it came down to a deciding Game 5. And nobody hit. And Phillies lose 1-0. Halladay throws a great game. Makes 1 bad pitch the entire game. Carpenter makes no bad pitches.
Right.
And if that's a 7-game series, who cares about that game?
Ryan Howard with the bat on the shoulder.
Yeah, wanting to complain about that. But, that was the problem with the short series. If you told me that this went 7, I would have been like, wow, no way. That's impossible. Yeah. But wait, Game 7's here? I don't care. Who cares? I get the better team. That's kind of how I think you address it. And I think the players are going to address it that way. You can make up any narrative you want. They're playing with house money. They're loose.
Yeah.
I think the Phillies will be loose. I think the fans will be tighter. You see it. 100%. You saw it last year against the Astros. You've seen it multiple years in Boston and all over where the fans are really, really, really into it. It's 1-1 later. He's kind of, white knuckling it. But if it's 2-1 Phillies, Suarez he pitches 5, and Wheeler comes out, you're going to see the crowd will be back into that game. They're not going to be back in that game. They see Hoffman.
Yeah. The only, it's funny. The only play it's my buddies have been riding is Harper walking, right? I mean, it's almost like the sunset and rising every day with Harper. I mean, I'm looking at what are the Phillies right now, -170. I find it very
155, Rich. 155 it opened 155.
Wow.
It was 161 this morning, 162 this morning. It went all the way up to 170.
Yeah.
And then it's come back down. What did you just say? 162?
Yeah.
So it's right. Yeah.
I just don't see how I see like a big hit from Schwarber, Harper rising to the occasion. Look, if the Arizona kid's in a groove early, then it's a white knuckler. I just don't know how the Phillies lose a Game 7 at home in that ballpark, and they are clearly the better team. Now, you would sit there and say it would be so Philadelphian like so New York like in the past where you just spit the bit. Here's the problem. Philadelphia was up 0-2 in this series. Should have been over in 4. Should have been over in 5, really. And you let a team hang around like alligator blood. Yeah.
Rich, you're 5-3 in the 8th. You got to win the game.
Yeah.
And the announcers will talk about Hall of Fame. What? You better put Billy Wilder in the Hall of Fame before you even talk about Craig Kimball. You know what I mean? The Hall of Fame. Are they nuts?
Wagner goes.
You know, the guy was, listen, isn't he the guy that was bouncing balls to the plate when he was playing pitcher for Boston in the playoffs? You're not going to see Kimball tonight at all.
You like the Phillies tonight?
Yes. Yeah, a lot.
A high-scoring game? Like a rout?
No, I don't. But I can see Arizona. I can see what happened to the Phillies last night. I could see that happening to Arizona. Okay. I can see this game being. I could see 5-1, 4-0, 6-1.
I got you.
If you have under, maybe late innings, you're like, oh, you believe this? They're gonna win 6-3 on some meaningless, change up when they're up 6-1 and somebody hits a solo home or something like that. I don't even care about that. I think this is gonna be Phillies Rangers. Also, hearing this narrative. You hear it more than I do about Major League Baseball, what Major League Baseball needs and what the NFL needs. And I always hate it. What's always forgotten, and I don't know if it's purposely omitted, the leagues have already been paid for these games.
Yeah, they don't care.
Is it going to come up in a contract in 2027?
No.
Hey, remember Arizona snuck in and we got a 4.5 rating for the World Series? That's not going to come on the table.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball's gotten paid. Fox needs to be worried about this. Fox does not want Arizona anywhere near this World Series.
No, because
Major League Baseball doesn't care.
No.
I mean, they care a little bit.
Yeah, Texas, not a bad market for baseball. Remember when they made back-to-back World Series with Josh Hamilton? But you get the Phillies, that's a baseball town, right? I mean, back in the day, it was a baseball town, even though they tried to sell you, it was an Eagles town. It was a Phillies town first and foremost. Okay. So you got a good market there. I think New York, you'll peekaboo a little bit here and there, but you're right. Arizona. And by the way, can we just say this for everyone killing Arizona? I'm listening to the radio the other day. You got the Phils broadcast saying no one's showing up. Nationals saying they show up. How about Phillies fans last night? A friggin' potential Game 6 clincher. Leaving the friggin' ballpark? You kidding me?
Yeah, it was cold, though. It was a little cold.
Oh, I don't. Get the hell out of real quick before we hit the NBA.
It's a work day.
Oh, stop it.
I don't want
to hear that nonsense, please.
Somebody sent me a tweet. He goes, nobody in Philly works.
Come on, man. If it is Texas and Philadelphia, right?
Think about it. You got Dallas. It's Cowboys Eagles.
I know, but I'm saying from an odd standpoint, who would be
Texas's favorite? They had the extra game. They opened there. Although, the future price as of this afternoon for Texas was about 135, 140 minus, no matter who wins. So obviously they're going to be prohibitive favorites if Arizona sneaks in. They'll be small favorites over the Phillies. But, Texas doesn't play that well in Arlington, and it's set up for the Phillies. Now, I know what happened early in the year. Phillies did not have Harper. But, Phillies lost that one game, 9-8. They tattooed the ball there. The ball flies out. They don't dominate in Texas, in Arlington. They don't dominate as a home team. They're going to have much more of a problem coming up here in 47-degree weather next Monday.
Well,
they're going to have way more of a problem. And, you see long sleeves and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to be used to it. You got guys complaining. How come these idiots don't have a dome? Whatever. But I think that's why you won't see a huge swing in, when I say huge, I mean, you won't see like minus 150 or minus 125 even. It's going to be basically pick them even though they have the extra game. What's interesting, I think the Phillies could very well win in 6 games there. There's already people talking about it. There's only 3 games here. There's people want to fly to Arlington try to go to the game. If you're going to pay X amount, might as well add in pay X a little bit more, and it's nicer weather down there. You know, you can go to the stockyards or whatever the heck is down there, whatever you want to do. But I think I like the Phillies' chances in it. I don't want to hear momentum. I'm sick of hearing momentum and all that crap. I don't want to hear anything about it. Momentum was Altuve hitting a home run in the ninth inning and going back to Houston. And where's that momentum? Momentum gets stopped by an immovable object. So be the immovable object and move on. And the last thing I'm going to say about tonight's game is if the teams weren't Phillies, Arizona, we're just looking at the numbers, who they were, blank slate. We didn't tell you the teams. Come on. You would say this is a 2-1 favorite here.
You have to. With Arizona,
it would be 190, 195. It would be what the series number was that. Yeah. I thought for sure I would see 180. Now I'm seeing popping up, it's back up. Suarez is 173 now on a pitching line, 15-cent line.
Talking about a team that won 84 regular season games, so it would be
that would be the worst team I think that would get in the World Series.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you got to go back. Think about the Dodgers '88. You think about the Mets in '69. The Mets,
the Twins in '87 had like wins. 87 wins.
Yeah,
that was just god awful World Series. And no one's gonna. There's all young guys on Arizona. If they get down, I can see them getting tight. I can see them getting I can see them kind of,
We're just happy.
Oh my gosh! Here comes Wheeler. You don't want to see Wheeler again.
I'll tell you one person that's really going to be friggin' pissed off if they win tonight and go to the World Series. That'll be me for not having the guts to get. I got every other ticket. What the hell am I? I mean, seriously, if you
that's
horrible. That's horrible.
They're gonna let you off the hook.
I hope so. Make the playoffs, win the division, get to the NLCS. What the hell am I doing? I'm not backing my play. Cowardly act. I mean, come on. NBA.
I don't think it was because you were a coward. I think you just forgot. You were so excited about the over wins.
I was ecstatic.
Listen, nobody thought they were going to beat Milwaukee. No. Nobody thought they were going to beat the Dodgers. No. Nobody thought they were going to win this. You know what? You got the money.
I get a pass?
You get a pass. I think you get a pass.
I need that. It's like a restitution here, so it's like going and seeing the priest. All right, NBA tips off. I was looking at some of these win totals, by the way, and I want to get your thoughts on a couple teams. Obviously, we'll focus a little bit on the 76ers because I actually think right now, I mean, did you hear the latest? The Knicks are basically willing to give up Bradley, DeBusschere, Reed, Frazier, everyone for Embiid. So my buddy asked me.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw Keith Pompey's tweet.
Yeah.
My buddy from St. James. It's probably true that they would offer that.
That's too much. It's too much.
Embiid's not good.
No, but it's too much. It's too much.
Nah, I mean, with that being said, they threw up a total of 49.5 last week, all the way through. What's today? Today's Tuesday. I think it was even Saturday or Friday, 49.5. That's just it's too high.
It's too high. You got to hammer the under. You have to.
I played under, and I think, sad to say, but it's. I think you got to take a look at some alt unders. And I think you got to take a look if you can get a good number on no playoffs. Everybody's going to hate me for saying this, but I got to do what I got to do here. If you can get back some money for under 41, because under 43 even, I could see them. I could see them being in that play-in or fighting to get into the play-in. As good as Nick Nurse is, as good as Embiid is. They're going to have all the load management. The problem with Harden, it's just too much. This team can't. For me to lose it, they're going to win 50 games. I'll take that all day long. I played it pretty solidly under 49.5. It's juiced now. A couple of places 130. It was juiced like 120. Now I think it's down to 48.5. I think that's a good number. I think 48 is a good number. It's just. You don't want to get too crazy. If it goes down too much, well, you only got a couple minutes, right? So if it goes down too much, I would play an alt number. there's a couple other teams I would take a look on that. But since we're in Philly, that obviously that's the number one thing we were talking about. Yeah, we want to talk about.
The Nets are right around 37, 38 and a half as well. So, I mean,
it's right about, I think, what it should be. I wasn't going to split hairs. I kind of looked at, I kind of sent you that text earlier in the week when we were talking about this. It's just like the NFL. There's too many cumulative overs. These teams play each other. It's impossible for everybody to have 47 wins. Somebody's got to stink. Somebody's got to run a little bit away from the pack. You 41-41 is break even. So you have to kind of try to figure out either mathematically or by your own gut or however you do your own thing. What's the chance of that 41-41 team winning 48 games?
Right.
And the numbers, there's just too many of them. So I try to focus on, it's usually top heavy.
Yep.
And it is. The Sixers is too high. Golden State is too high. The Lakers are too high.
46
Dallas Mavericks are too high. And the Denver Nuggets are too high. And
how about Cleveland?
And well, the interesting thing about Cleveland is it's a little too high, but not egregiously so. So I think I focused more on the Sixers under. I focused on Golden State under. I can separate, and I think the good bettors across the board can separate what the Golden State really is, or what they could become is an old team. They're already old on paper to me.
Yeah. I talking about that the other night.
I think, Chris, now if you want to throw in, the hairs on your neck and throw salt of it, Paul is like a cancer. I mean, everywhere he goes, they just don't win, even when they have the good teams.
100%.
I don't know what it is. I don't believe in karma and that stuff, but he's got something where he's just not a mix. And that's always disastrous. You bring in a guy who's just trying to get a title, the Steve Nash thing, and Gary Payton thing with the Lakers.
Karl Malone with the Lakers.
Yeah, it's just, I don't like it. I think it's cheesy, and I think they're faking it. I want, a little, I want guys to be a little bit younger, even with the load management stuff going on. I can see, obviously Golden State, I think, is going to make the playoffs just on the strength of their defense and their good coach. But I think that their total is just too high. The old used cars movie. That's just too high, and they blow up the cars. People have to Google that reference of used
Kurt
cars.
Russell, man. What are you talking? Kurt Russell, come on.
By
the way,
Robert Zemeckis wrote the screenplay. Come on, let's get some movie stuff in here.
It's funny, real quick on the Sixers, just for a second, if I can. You talking about Embiid, and we look at the MVP and Embiid at plus 850. I'm not even touching it because, first of all, he's not going to play more than 65 games. Nick Nurse is going to run him into the ground. You've got the Harden situation as well that you mentioned. So that's why I think they're in store for a very long season. Now, conversely, I'll tell you a team I like, because not only am I going to play the kid to win Rookie of the Year, but I think San Antonio, and I also think the Thunder are going to actually overachieve this year. So I think
the line, I got 28 wins in San Antonio. I played over. Now he's gonna put the gigantic kid, on a load management. They hired that company. Who cares what the name is? And Popovich has really been going with them because it's almost an analytical breakdown of guys have a finite amount of minutes in their legs, even young guys. With the playoffs being longer, you don't want to overextend guys in minutes if you don't have to, which kind of hurts the superstar in the making. For if you play him for MVP or Defensive Player of the Year or what. Now, you want to give me 20 to 1 Defensive Player, I'll take it. But I saw 14 and 15. I don't even think that's high enough because I think they're going to limit his. But I do agree with you. I think they will win more than 28 games. And I think an alt number of like 35 or more is actually in play with obvious plus money, because I could see them really doing well against some of these older, poorer teams.
Yeah, and you mentioned the low management. That's one of the reasons why I go very light on him Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I'm not going to get, my return on my investment if you're sitting at 150, 160. But I'll tell you, as a dark horse, I like Brandon Miller. He's a plus 1,600.
Yeah, if he goes crazy,
that's exactly it. Bulk of the
but you
offense.
have to check the rules, because I could see something like a tie. Remember the one year Jason Kidd was the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
And they tie. Who did tie? I mean, it was a good player, but ties,
yeah.
really.
But
I can see. Yeah. I don't really love the subjective when people are voting on stuff. Segue real quick to back to baseball. I have Wheeler MVP, and it frustrates me to no end that he's pitched 13 innings, 3 earned runs. One was the curve, the game that they were already winning, going ahead. The mullet-headed kid, Wilson, hits the home run. Who cares about that? So, 2, 3 earned runs.
Yeah.
They needed 7 out of him. They needed 7, not 6. 7 is because now it's the 3rd turnover.
Right.
They need 7 out of him. What does he do? He gives up 1-run ball. And you put 16 strikeouts, 1 walk, and he shut the door. Remember when we were kids?
Yep.
You had the stopper. Carlton was the stopper for, they lose 2 games in a series. Oh my God, we can't get swept. You throw Carlton out there.
Yep.
The Dodgers used to do it with Tommy John. Everybody had that ace guy that stopped that, and that's the guy who's the reason that they're up, that they're tied 3-3. Because Schwarber's homers, if you look at them, they didn't matter.
They weren't game-changing home runs. Yeah.
They didn't change. I mean, they were great to look at. They were sexy as hell. But the 1-run loss where we needed him is 0-for-3. So I can't understand how, as of yesterday, Wheeler was, now it's going down because the Phillies lost, and now there's a shot Wheeler. So Wheeler comes in, and they can't hit him for 5 innings. He's going to end up getting the MVP.
Right.
But as of yesterday, before Game 6, he was like 12-1. So that's basically saying he was 14-1 or 15-1 before the series. So if he went out and pitched 2 no-hitters, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's like he's being punted. Yeah.
So it's either the market's completely overestimating how the writers will vote, which is possible, because these are awards that aren't played on the field. We have to handicap how other people think. Now, if you're handicapping other people think, other people are usually stupid, including, baseball writers, who don't make Pedro unanimous for Hall of Fames, crazy stuff like that. So anything's possible, but it's going to be hard if this is a 2-1 game and Wheeler comes in and does what Pedro did in '99, which is probably one of the greatest games I've ever seen in a closeout game. And I tweeted it for the younger people that may have not seen it. But remember, it was a 5-game series, Red Sox, Indians with that crazy lineup. Tommy hits 2 homers that are Schwarber-like off of Saberhagen. But then, the Red Sox out of the lineup too. They come back. Here comes Pedro in relief.
I mean, it's a gutsy, listen, it was a gutsy call and performance.
Richie, hit them.
Yeah.
Tommy hit 2 unbelievable homers. He went from looking like he had, something wrong with him. With Pedro pitching. He strikes him out. He made him look horrible. Made the whole team look horrible. And I remember sitting there going, I can't believe it. Are you kidding me? He's not going to. And then Major League Baseball screws the Red Sox because they started the NLCS literally the next day or something. I don't think it's Major League Baseball. It might have been the combination of them and Fox, whoever broke it. And remember Game 1, Pedro couldn't go.
Yep.
And the Yankees won easy because now poor Pedro's arms.
You can't throw him back out there. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I can see something like that with Wheeler. Of course, it would be fun to watch if it's 4-0, 6-4 Arizona, 8-8. No Philly fan wants to see that.
But see, that's what. But when you talk about subjective and you talk about the voters, that's what happened. Like, again, all those years, it could have always been Michael Jordan. Got to give it to Malone. You know, last year, let's be honest, Joker was the MVP, but it went to Embiid. But Embiid had a wonderful season. I'm not going to take anything away from him.
It wasn't Joker. It wasn't Joker. It wasn't as good. But everybody knew it. And then, you know, they brought out Mark Jackson's ballot, and he said, I didn't realize that's what I was voting on. All that, that's how crazy it is. So he's either lying or he's stupid or both. But you know what? That fueled them, and Embiid was so happy about his MVP. You know, they didn't do anything in the playoffs. So
that's exactly.
Now, to add in, I had Embiid for MVP.
There you go.
And I was tweeting about it. He should be the MVP. That's how. Maybe I'm the stupid one.
No. I listen. I
just thought once it came January, they made the odds really high. There was only a couple guys. Last year, Tatum fell off. They're not giving the MVP to Doncic for a team that might not make the playoffs. They basically had a 3-horse race, and they posted some ridiculous 8 to 10, whatever it was on B, and I played it. So if you're looking at that, I think going back to NBA with MVP, I just said that segue back to MLB. I don't even have a play for MVP.
So I'm going to give you one. My thought,
because I think we can get it at a better number if in January. I think we'll be able to get a better candidate, not a better number, a better candidate in January.
Well, that's because, let's say, okay, we're talking about November. You're talking 30-something odd games in. Right now, I'm not looking at Curry. I'm not looking at Durant. I'm not looking at Embiid. I'm not looking at Giannis. I'm not looking at Lou. I'm looking at Tatum. Plus 750. I've seen it at 760. I think.
I agree with you. I agree. I agree. That's a good, and only because we can go into scenarios, or now we're really going to call. I think if you think of how you think the season's going to go, I think the Celtics are going to win the whole thing. I think they're going to win the Atlantic. They're going to win the East.
I agree. I agree. They're going to win the East.
They're going to win the whole thing. Do I think they're going to win 63 games and go 40-1 like the 86 Celtics or 84 Celtics? No. And who cares? Yeah. But I do think they're going to run away. So if they run away, who's going to be integral in it? And it's going to be Tatum. Now, and if that happens, you will 100% get it. And if you're getting 7-1 or more, it's a good bet because that is a guy, that is a person that number in January will not be there.
Correct. And I want to grab it now because they're not going to go 35-3, whatever they did at home, and what was it, 84, 86. But my point is this: if they race out to a 25-3 record, and all of a sudden he's averaging 28, 10, and 9. Now it's dropped to plus 650, 500. I'm screwing myself. I want to catch it right now prior to the season because I do believe he's going to have a monster year.
I mean, he's the best pro of the team. They gave around $900 million, whatever it was. I mean, they're both getting paid a lot. Everybody in the NBA gets paid a lot.
Stacked. Boston's stacked. Boston's stacked. They're stacked.
Boston's good. Boston's going to win. It's going to be well, we can get the other team I think is going to be right there. I think Cleveland's going to be right there. I like Cleveland to win the division.
Wow.
They won. I like Cleveland to be right in the mix. I could see this being Cleveland, Boston. I could see if Cleveland has to play Milwaukee, even with all the stuff they got, obviously with Lillard and all that. I think I like Cleveland as a team.
You only got three or four teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, so I'm kind of cherry picking. I'm cherry picking the low
Miami?
fruit, but no, I think Miami had their run. I didn't focus on that because I thought that number is right around where it should be. I tried to focus on the teams I think are old and will struggle, kind of like the Lakers did last year. And then once they got in the playoffs, remember we talked about it last year. I said, they're going to beat Memphis,
and they went on a run.
And, they're going to make a run because once they got in, now you see the light at the end. A guy like LeBron can see the light, and then he can pace himself. When you're in January, that's a long tunnel. to
Yeah.
think, oh, you know,
Yeah.
how many games are
He's 38. He's not going to play 37 minutes a night,
no,
right? I'll give you one.
no, but
How
he's built
about
for the
Phoenix?
playoffs. I like under in Phoenix. I like under. I played under. I got 51 and a half. There's 52s. There's 52 and a halves. I played under. I didn't now not as much as the Sixers. Excuse me. Not as much as the Sixers. Not as much as the Lakers. Lakers, I did see. I mean, God, Rich, Lakers was 47s. There was 46 and a halves.
Yeah, I'm at 46 and a half. But real
Geez,
quick on Phoenix.
yeah.
So first of all, take the under on Washington because they lost Beal. That was about 27, 28 points a game. But now you got Durant, you got Booker, and you got Beal.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
I think
What? You going over on Washington?
I think what they posted is too low.
What did you
There's
get? What number are you looking at?
There's 23 and a halves.
Yeah, it must have dropped substantially. That's
Well, no, wait a minute. I think I might have played. No, I'm right. There's so much going on. I played over. There's 23 and a half. There's 24s. I think 24 and a half isn't a bad number.
that's what I meant. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. Play the over, not play the under. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It keeps dropping. Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Yeah, it dropped. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, that's it. It dropped too much.
Yeah,
it dropped too much.
That's what I'm saying. It dropped substantially, like 4 or 5 days.
It did. I don't think they'll be the worst team. Detroit is putrid. Orlando's no good. I think Detroit could probably be the worst team. Of course, somebody else. Of course, you gotta throw injuries into this. Into whatever your mathematical thing. One guy gets hurt for one of these mediocre teams, and they'll win 25 games.
You would agree though the Western Conference is top heavy as opposed to the Eastern Conference.
Yes. Well, I don't like anything. I think the Celtics, because I like the Celtics to win the whole thing, and I think the Warriors are overvalued. The Suns are slightly overvalued. Listen, the Suns can win 50 games. You still win your total.
You haven't even mentioned
win 50 and then just crush in the playoffs. I don't even think. It's going to be. I still think Denver's going to be there.
There you go.
But they're not going to have the season that they had last year. And I think that I actually think it's going to be Celtics Suns. I don't think Denver comes out of there this year. Just a lot can happen between now and then, but that's why we have the numbers.
You have Phoenix Celtics?
Yes.
All right. Somewhere, and God forbid, I don't know if he passed away. Somewhere, Gar Hurd is smiling right now.
That's right. They can't wait to play 17 overtimes.
Right. That was Game 5, 76.
Yes, and that's the year. Not to. Well, again, everybody can run to Google. That's the year, if I'm not mistaken, that it's the year after Rick Barry swept Golden State. They swept the Bullets, and it was completely unexpected. I think it's the biggest upset sweep in the 4 major sports in 50 years, like the times I've been alive.
Oh, well, you're talking sweep then. Let me ask you, what were the 70?
Well, even winning, they were prohibitive underdogs. They sweep. The next year, they come back and run out like 57, like they played great. Now, I'm doing it off the top of my head. I'm not cheating. They play great, and I think the Suns beat them in 7 in some really close games, if I remember. The only reason I know this is because last year I was doing – when you do research on, who did what,
sure,
and stats and all, sometimes you segue into, well, I was too young to watch this series. What happened? Let me look at the box scores.
Yeah.
And you realize that the irony is that Golden State won a championship, Rick Barry, with an inferior team. The next year's team was much better, and they get upset by Phoenix, and then Phoenix goes they lose to the last remnants of Dave Cowens and the last
older
for the Celtics.
squad.
right before they go in the tank and then draft Bird back when they had those weird drafts where you could draft the guy in college. Like, I guess you could draft him when he was like in high school or whatever the rule was. I got to look back.
So
remember they drafted Bird as a junior.
So 77. Well, 76.
77 is the Portland. The next year is the Portland.
Well, they were huge underdogs. I mean, Bobby Gross is still friggin' scoring. They were huge underdogs against the 76ers. Were they not?
They were prohibitive underdogs.
Because then 77, 77, 78, you had Washington, Seattle, and it flip-flop.
Yes, but because I think, and of course I knew this before, but the Walton biography, the 3-part documentary, bio documentary, whatever you want to call it, showed in detail Walton's years in Portland. And remember, they went up 3-0 in the Lakers with Jabbar. Walton outplayed them completely. Game 4, Jabbar goes crazy. They still lose. So once they swept the Lakers, people were like, hey, wait a minute. This is not that bad of a team. They still were dogs because the Sixers had home court, and the Sixers
won the first 2 games.
Won the first 2 games. One of them wasn't even close, and a great series. And then, of course, the next year Walton gets hurt, and that's where Lenny Wilkins is. They go back-to-back championship.
Seattle, Washington,
playing the Bullets.
Yep.
And then
Dennis Johnson goes from goat to hero.
And then it's after that. Yeah. So that's kind of the 70s sequence. Anyone to Google that or YouTube it, because all that fun stuff's there to see. What I love with those rules back then is when you're in the penalty, you got the 2 for 1. So it's like, that's why you had scores 150. People come at the scoring now. Imagine getting 2 for 1 instead of just 1 and 1. 1 and 1.
Hey, real quick, and I know we're a little tight. Just a couple things on the NFL, real quick. And hopefully we can hit it again later on the week on Friday. What the best game from the book standpoint this past weekend was?
From the previous weekend?
Yeah,
without a doubt, Buffalo losing, and San Fran losing.
What about Miami and Philly?
Not as big as Buffalo losing, because especially that narrative was out there. Of course, people who know what they're doing, they're not looking at narratives and all, and that's why that Buffalo line opened 9.5. It closed 7.5. They were betting New England. I bet New England. Last night's game was more difficult for me because it's in conference. You think San Fran is going to get the win there, especially if it happened the previous week. They had an unfortunate thing happen right before the half. Purdy doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
That's okay. People are now really high on the Vikings. Vikings are not a good team. They catch
but I'll tell you what that does.
It's without a doubt. Buffalo blows out all the teasers. A lot of people had teasers. They played Buffalo on the road. They played Buffalo money line. They played parlays of Buffalo. A lot of guys closed it with San Fran. So it blows it away. Those two things had to be giant for the books. Anytime you see 7 or more favorites lose, it's always going to be good.
So a couple numbers for you. You had 3 huge bets, 242K, Dolphins money line, plus 140, 158, Dolphins plus 3, minus 115, 136,000, Dolphins money line, plus 135. So that's about 5 and some change. And then also, according to BetMGM, 90% of the money was on the Bucks. The Bucks -3 against the Falcons. That kid's kicking game-winning field goals left and right. Upset Tampa, won outright. 4 of the top 5 Sunday favorites did not cover the spread, and 3 of them lost outright. Bucks, Browns, Bills, and Seattle.
Yeah, it was a good. I mean, they're going to have weeks like this where people just get.
You called it last week. You called it last week. with the
Yeah.
teasers. You called it.
Well, I said they would come, but what was interesting is you're supposed to play these teasers as close to kickoff as possible.
To see if there's movement.
Open teasers, like if you play a teaser right now, sometimes I'll do it. Like I played New Orleans already because I think this game's going to end a pick. New Orleans could even end. I don't want to say they're going to be favored, but it could happen. So I already have the Saints in a teaser, an open team, because I think they're the better team. Yeah, what am I saying? They're the better team than the Colts right now. They're a slightly better team. I don't care who's quarterback. Give me back Archie Manning, because the Saints defense I think is good enough. But to the original point, if you wait until the kickoff, and normally you don't want to make your bets up until kickoff because all the money's in. It's an efficient market. You really don't want to do that. But teasers are a little bit different. Teasers, you're playing off what smart people or the market in general. It's too difficult to differentiate smart from dumb. All the sports folks want to say, oh, this is smart money. They have no idea. What you just quoted, the 90%, you know who that comes from? It comes from MGM. When's the sports books are not giving out any information ever that can hurt them.
Of course.
I asked multiple, when this started getting sexy, this bet spreads and DraftKings does it through the roof. I said, okay, every sportsbook director, let me ask the question. Let me see all the data. You're not going to give it to me. Let me ask the questions. Let me know where the money is, where the tickets is. Let me look. I want to see the whole thing. Oh, no. I can't give you that. Well, what are you giving me then? They're giving you marketing stuff. That's why you'll see 90% spread. Oh, but all the money's here and the line goes down. Oh, it's a reverse line movement. There's no such thing. It makes no sense. If the sports books tell you today's Tuesday, don't believe them. Do not believe them. Go check a counter. I don't believe anything that the sports books put out. I don't believe. You got to remember, these guys, these are places that limit you. They're going to give you information that can hurt them.
That hurts you and helps them.
It helps them because it's marketing. It's sexy. It's like, oh, here's what a bet spread. And that's how you can tell a lot of people that are really entrenched. They say, well, this is the smart money. That's dumb. You don't know. People are doing buybacks. Some people are doing head fakes. You got, there's a lot of groups, a lot of smart groups.
So let me ask you a couple things.
Bet early and buy back late. They don't care. There's a lot going on here. A lot of the money doesn't come in till later in the game, later in the week. But if you're gonna take some smart early lines, I do think the Lions opened up at 8 on Monday night. I can't see any way that's not going to close at 10 unless Goff falls off a ladder or God forbid something happens to him, sprains his pinky, or I don't know. All things being equal, Detroit is going to lamp that team by more than 8, and if they win by 10, you still win. So I think what I said was going to happen. I guess again, a broken clock's right twice a day too by accident. But I said, watch how you see the Lions will play.
You nailed that one.
If they're down big, because if you're going to lose a game, nobody wants to lose any games.
No, they got waxed.
But here's throws that right in that. Remember the year the Colts were 14-0?
Yep.
And they sat them. Remember the year with Reed, the Eagles were 14-0, and they sat them. Did those losses matter? Oh, but you might say, oh, Shine, they clinched. Okay, but don't tell me that there's no such thing as good losses. That's a good loss. Oh, they're going to be rusty. These guys, they got beat up all year. You know how happy some of these guys are to get. How happy Jeff Saturday. You know how happy Saturday was to get 3.5 weeks off late in the year. I mean, don't give me that thing about every number somebody can give me on. Oh, they were rusty. I can give you a number that says no. Look how healthy they got.
Right.
So, I point being about the losses. If you're going to pick a loss, So well, you have to spread out 3 or 4 losses. Where are they going to go? Well, you're going to pick outside the conference. So the Lions lose to the Ravens. Who cares?
No one
It doesn't
cares.
really affect them. Here's why. They're ahead in the North anyway. They got 2 against the Vikings. They didn't play the Bears yet, right?
Nope.
No, they didn't play the Bears yet. They got 2 against the Bears. Yeah, they're going to – that's the games they're going to control. It starts this Monday, and this isn't out of conference game, but this the scheduling is different. They're home, and they just lost. They're going to crush this team, and they're going to move on. So that's the early line I like. And then the Jekyll High, whatever that guy is, Eternal Monster, when he drank that potion or whatever he is, that idiot.
Dr. Jekyll.
That team is Thursday.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other team.
Chargers?
Who's the bad one? Jekyll or High? High is the bad guy. So this is Jekyll.
Oh, the Bills and the Bucks. The Bills and the Bucks.
They're going to kill the Bucks this week. They're going to kill them. Get line open 8.5. If you want to play it in teasers, I think you play that. It might end up going to 9 at game time. But guess what? If it goes to 10 and 10.5, you don't have to play that teaser. Who cares? Play the game now. It's 8.5. It's 9. Even if the Bills do something stupid, they're not going to win 27-13. I mean, you know how mad their coach is this week?
Yep.
It's just, now you're home. Enough's enough. I know Von Miller's hurt. People are dumping on Von Miller. The guy's hurt. Oh, I don't know why he made any plays. The guy that drives me to tilt, Lombardi. I hate bringing him up, but he just drives me to tilt because he's from the area. You know, I think he's burying beers.
Oh, you're going Lombardi line.
Yeah, he's burying beers at yesterday's. I think he does the pods. I don't know. Just drives me crazy.
Hanging out at Gregory's and Summers, boy.
Yeah, he's going great. He's crushing Crown Royals in Summers Point or something, because I don't know where you get. You know what tells me? You know what tells me is there's no feedback. You're not allowed to respectfully go, hey, listen, here's a counterpoint. No, you don't want no counterpoint. So he's going to dump on Von Miller. The guy's hurt. I'm like, doesn't this guy an executive in the NFL? Guys get hurt, and it's the middle of the year. This is a must-win game. No, it's not. The Patriots was an important game. You don't want to lose it. Yeah. But the guy played poorly because he's hurt. Injuries aren't an excuse. If you're on the field, to me, you're healthy. But he got off the field. You can't hurt him because he played 5 plays. Maybe there's 5 plays. He saw something. He says, I'm not right, whatever. I think he gets right this week. I think the whole Bills team gets right. And the team you want to come in after a terrible loss is Tampa. Now, Tampa's got a really good defense, but Baker. I could see Buffalo winning this game 17-3, 17-6, 20-6.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 early NFL games.
Okay.
If we end up talking Friday, I think we can do some college. But
good.
The last 2 weeks were the sexier games.
Yep.
Obviously, we did pretty well. I said Ohio State would beat Penn State.
You could.
I don't like Franklin. I don't like trends. I don't think this is a trend, though. I don't think it's a trend that Franklin beats up. You know,
he can beat up
all the UMasses.
And the world. The Delawares.
The world. But he now I get it. Marvin Harrison's son is unbelievable. He might end up being the first pick in the draft. He's but you know, come on, can quarterback? That's all I heard is that quarterback. Can the quarterback make a play? Stinks. It doesn't stink. He stinks, and he stunk Saturday. I'll just say that he doesn't stink. You know, when you're throwing to Liam, whatever his name is, and the guy's dropping balls, the guy get out that whole team. Franklin's not a game day coach. He's a phenomenal recruiter.
100%.
Put it on Twitter. He's the college football version of Cal Perry, maybe better. He might be the best recruiter, you know, non-paying guy, you know, maybe, you know, as now with the NIL, you can pay them legally. But he's a phenomenal recruiter. He's not a game guy, and it shows. He's 1-9. And I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan goes in there and pounds them also. And then, you know, Franklin's making $10 million.
I know.
He's making
A
10
lot of
million. I
coins.
hate to count guys' money.
I
If
know.
he's making 1 million, it's big.
Hey,
But 10 million, you can't be 1-9. You gotta be 4-5.
4-5.
You be
Yeah.
5-4, be 3-6, something.
He brought the juice tonight. By the way, real quick, and I know we got to wrap it up. So funny Lombardi story. When I was with AM 1490 and they were doing all the VSiN programming, I mentioned on the air, I killed him because I turned around. I was like, the same freaking clown that said Doug Peterson was a bad hire. Then all of a sudden we were trying to book him and he politely declined.
Yeah, you don't need him. You don't need him because I got news for you. They call him ex-GM. He was a GM for 1 year. He was a GM for one season. And remember, it was when he was a placeholder for Rob Chedinsky 1 year, and then they had a new owner. I think it was Haslam had a new owner, and he was like, "Hey, who's the GM? I don't know. Get that guy. Get the short guy who Bill Belichick said is great." Now, you could poke him. He could turn around and poke at my resume too. But listen, at least there'd be a give and take.
Give and take.
And you know what? I guarantee he didn't have Louisville money line a couple of weeks ago. So there's my resume.
He's juiced up tonight. My goodness. Fired up. All right. Don't forget, follow Prop Shine the Prop on Twitter at Professor Shine. Always kind enough to join us on a Tuesday edition of BYP from our wonderful friends over at Play It Again Sports. We're hitting Friday heavy with the NFL and college. Enjoy Game 7 tonight, brother.
You too, and maybe we'll talk Friday. If not, let's root for the Phillies.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man. Great stuff as always.